Good evening, family. I am super excited to share what I've learned on my journey of entrepreneurship and to breathe some faith into all of you if you are pursuing or thinking about pursuing entrepreneurship. So what is an entrepreneur? A person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risks in order to do so. So in short, an entrepreneur is a risk taker. So who were some risk takers in the Bible? We had Abraham, who risked sacrificing his son, even though he didn't have to do it, but he was willing to take the risk. David facing a giant with a rock. Esther risking her life to save the Jews. And last but not least, Jesus risking and sacrificing his life on a chance that we might accept him. And so what do they all have in common? Faith. So two of my anchor scriptures are in Hebrews chapter 11, verses 1 and 6. It talks about what faith looks like. It's the confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And without faith, it's impossible to please God because anyone who comes to him must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who earnestly seek him. And so as an entrepreneur, God is your business partner. All it takes is having faith, trust, and confidence in God, and he will do immeasurable things for you. But you will be tested, and this journey is not an easy feat, nor is it affordable. So I have 5 points on some key practicals of entrepreneurship in a godly way. The first one is planning and perseverance. So Isaiah 32 verse 8 says, "But the noble make noble plans, and by noble deeds they stand." So yes, you're taking risks as an entrepreneur, but you're not just out here winging it. You have to have a plan. So proper planning prevents poor performance. I'll say it again. Proper planning prevents poor performance. So plan for what's possible, but also plan for what's impossible. Because Matthew 19 verse 26 says that with man, this is impossible, but with God, all things are possible. Don't put God in a box. You're going to hit brick walls and you're going to fail, and that's okay. That's, all a part of the journey. But just see it as God's way of pointing you in the right direction. Like you're hitting the wall in the maze and God's like, no, go this way. This is where the exit is. Of course, you can't see it, but God is above all and he sees it for you. And it's just him molding you into the person he needs you to be to accept and to receive all the blessings and the successes that come with owning a business. Point number 2, invest. Ecclesiastes 11 verse 2 says, "Invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You do not know what disaster may come upon the land." So there is no one size fits all path to entrepreneurship. There's no one basket that you can carry with a bunch of eggs. You're going to have many baskets and many eggs. Some may spoil and rot on you, or some may, be your pot of gold. But you need to gather as many eggs as possible and have as many baskets as possible. I've invested in a life insurance license. I'm working on a project management course. I've invested in a booth rental and a master's degree. And these are all, these are like my backup plans or just things that I can use to help fund my business during the slow seasons. So essentially, have a backup plan, but also don't be afraid to invest in what you need. You never know what you might buy that will be that one great investment that'll get you to where you need to go. And sometimes what you buy might just be a waste of money for the time being. But that's what a risk is. You just never know. But it takes faith going into that risk. And so although things may not have an immediate return, you never know just how long it might take. It could take a year. It could take 20 years. It could take 20 days. But that's the joy in the journey. Point number 3, vision for success. Isaiah chapter 55 verses 8-9 says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways your ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." So God gave you a vision. Trust it. Don't let the worldly perspective or anybody else's opinions to tear you from that vision that God gave you, unless they're speaking from personal experience or from a godly point of view. That's something that I've kind of struggled with a little bit, just holding on to the worldly perspective of how things should be rather than the godly perspective of what things would be. And so what's the difference, right? One is worldly and one is from God. The world has a set of rules and regulations in a way that it believes things should be, but God encourages us not to view those things from a worldly perspective. In 2 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 16, it says, "So from now on, we regard no one from a worldly point of view. Though we once regarded Christ in this way, we do so no longer." So for me, I'm a very unconventional entrepreneur. I have a master's degree in business, but I'm working at Starbucks. But the godly perspective is I get to work a job that allows me to work 8 hours in a day and still have time during the day to do hair and seek the kingdom first. Because like Rod said, this is all about glorifying God at the end of the day. So, but through all of this, I have struggled with my faith in my business, which brings me to point number 4, operate in faith.
Wow.
Matthew chapter 21, verses 21 to 22 says, Jesus replied, truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, go, throw yourself into the sea, and it will be done. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. So before I went into my booth rental, I fasted and prayed to God every day for 10 days over the direction of my business and where he wanted me to be. And because of that faith, he answered every part of that prayer. Yeah. And as a result, I was able to do a booth rental and I was booked solid for almost 2 months. But once the slow season came, I lost faith and I stopped praying over my business for a time. And I went through many trials and seasons of doubt, but through this, I didn't consider them pure joy. Just like it says in James 1, verses 2 to 4. And I got distracted by the noise around me and let the worldly perspectives become my reality. So don't be like me. Don't follow my mistakes. Learn from that and really just rely on God. Because to be a business partner with God means to totally rely on him and having immense faith and trust in him.
That's right.
Bringing me to my last point, number 5, trust God. Proverbs 3, verses 5 through 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. So there have been many times where I've struggled and I've lacked faith and I've lacked the energy to just go after my business. And God has literally blessed me with clients in my chair. And this isn't to boast about anything that I've done because I didn't do anything, but it's to boast in my weaknesses and my lack of faith and perseverance, and to glorify God, right? Because it's my business partner. So when I was weak, he was strong for me. And so I know too, now from that, I've developed a lot more trust and faith in God because this was an area that I really struggled to let God in. Was my business, but now I have a lot of faith and trust that if I start posting regularly, I'm going to be fully booked. And I have full faith in God for that. But to be honest, to being the CEO and the marketer and the graphic designer, photographer and accountant and so on is extremely exhausting. But the great thing about it is that we're never alone because we have God to lean on because it's not your business, it's God's business. And so my practicals, if you take the first letter at every point, you get pivot. And so I share this to say that it's okay to change direction and not do things in a conventional way. Changes are going to come, and you're probably going to have to change many times before you hit that pot of gold. And for me right now, I'm pivoting back into the office to just lean on that during the slow times and during the economical shifts, so I could focus on clearing some debt and really focus on investing in my business. And that's okay. All companies that we see today had to start from ground zero. You know, they were entrepreneurs too, and they probably struggled. Something that really encourages me is that it took Vera Wang 20 years. So I have plenty of time, praise God. And then on the business perspective side, if you are looking to start a business, you don't need an LLC to start a business. Not to say you don't need an LLC, but you don't need it to start a business. You can get an EIN, which is an employee identification number, which you also would get with an LLC, but you can get this EIN without that for free, and then get a DBA, which is a doing business as to keep your name for being stolen from other companies or whatever, at $60 and it lasts 5 years. But an LLC is $130, $125, and that lasts for a year. So if you want to take a more affordable route, this would be really helpful. I learned this the hard way. I started off with an LLC, didn't make much profit. I didn't really know what I was doing. And so I couldn't take that LLC and bring it back down to an EIN. But from this path, you can go from an EIN to an LLC. Once you start hiring employees, you start making over like $20,000 a year. And then you also need a business license, or they call them now like a tax receipt, which is $30 a year. And so it's pretty affordable if you want to do it this way. If you want to start the LLC, by all means, you could totally do that. But I chose to just revamp and restart and do it the more affordable way. And it's helped me a lot. Exactly. And your business will still be a legalized, legitimate business with or without those 3 letters behind your business name. And yeah, this is my journey. And to God be all the glory.